The next batch. We'll start with Robert.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To the nominee, when Jubilee came into power in 2013, they marketed the last mile connectivity very, very well. In fact, citizens were of the opinion that they would all be connected within like a month or so. And so that has brought a lot of pressure on members of parliament, because whenever people are not connected, they have this belief that the member of parliament is seeking to only power some areas in their constituencies and not others. I would like you to, from your opinion, having of course studied the situation, to tell us what will you do to ensure that this pressure is taken out of members of parliament, because members, the public thinks it's our issue. Now, the other issue is an issue of public confidence, Honorable Wandayi, in that office, and considering that you have been also with us in the minority, and I'm saying this because you know what Kenyans out there have said, and it will be important for you to address them from this point. What can you tell those Kenyans that believe that you took advantage of the young Kenyan demonstrators, some of whom who died while they were demonstrating, so that you could negotiate your way into government?
Owen? Thank you very much. After that bomb from your former deputy, I want you, from your former deputy, I just want you to focus on cost of power, Honorable Wandayi.
Order, Bossing. Yeah?
It has expired. Yeah, I would like to get full attention. Honorable Wandayi, the cost of power in this country is such that it is over the roof. If you get a power bill, you look at it, you're paying so many things apart from, in fact, the units that you are paying for actually become a small part of what you're paying for. For this country to rise or fall in terms of manufacturing, in terms of production, the cost of living and the prices of items, it all falls and all rises on the sword of power cost, for which, in your statements, you have said this country, in parliament, many times in parliament, you've said that the cost of living in this country is very, very high. But one of the biggest contributors of that cost, of that high cost of living, is power. You are in the middle of it. Apart from thinking about reticulation of power, apart from thinking about all these other things, you have a big elephant in the room. How do you bring the cost of power in this country to reduce the cost of life and also to increase manufacturing, industrialization, and all those other things? Thank you, Honorable Wandayi.
Rugara.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Nominee, the ministry you are just about to take over, if this committee and the House approves you, is one of the key ministries in the country, akin to roads, water, and every Kenyan is looking upon you to be connected to electricity. And there are not two options to it. Even before I ask you the question, it's good to know that there are historical injustices in terms of power supply in the country, such that, take the case of the year 2017, the Raka constituency was at 9.5% connectivity to the national grid. At the same time, Gatundu South constituency was at 100%. These are all equal Kenyans. There really should not be that disparity. Number two, we have schools. Schools where electricity is just but mandatory. Yet, those areas are not connected to the national grid, and the children are supposed to compete competitively in national exams, which are standard. My question to you is, would you be subscribing to a form of affirmative action in terms of electricity supply to constituencies which have lagged behind, and it's just not Tharaka. You go to Mwingi North, you go to Mbalambala, which is also my neighbor, Bere North, Bere South. These actually have been discriminated against. And therefore, would you be prepared to take affirmative action in respect of those constituencies?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To Honorable Opiyo Wandayi, the nominee. My colleagues have talked about electricity, you have talked about the transformers. Do you see we need to move away from oil-based transformers, because every other day you will hear people removing the oil from the transformers, and we have got transformers which do not work sometimes, or we have got a shortage of transformers. So do you see, will you do research? Because I've done, if you go to the Western world, you do not see any transformer, and I know you've been there. So you do not see transformers there. Do you think we can have KPLC having a company where it will be having fiber optic? I know they are doing it right now, but because of the ICT of this government, to deliver fiber optic to each and every place, because it's a vast network, as you have spoken about it. The last one is about the Kenya Pipeline Refinery. Your predecessor, if you are confirmed, who was here, Davis Chirchir, he said they were looking at it once the oil, which Honorable Posing has talked about, the Tolo oil and all that, once it's done. But I believe if that refinery was there, we could even get cheaper fuel and refine it the way it used to be. So do you think it is possible under your watch if you are confirmed? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Honorables.
You can answer those.
Honorable Speaker. Yes, indeed it is true. That is, with respect to Honorable Mbui's question, that members of parliament are facing serious pressure from the public on the matter of last mile connectivity in the respective constituencies. Because again, it has been taken for granted that this is the work of the MPs, okay? Which they have been doing, of course, very diligently in collaboration with the REREC. Honorable Speaker, what we need to do, in my view, is to properly resource REREC. Properly resource REREC as we work on the efficiencies for this rural electrification to be fast-tracked. As we speak, the data I have is that we are at about 76% penetration. That, of course, is theoretical. Because, you know, in some areas, it's as low as 10%, while in others, it is over 100%. Yes. So I'm very much alive to that fact. In fact, we need also to bring on board counties, county governments. Honorable Speaker, under Schedule 4 of the Constitution, the counties have a role also in energy, also in street lights, okay? What has happened in the past is that REREC has been able to build street lights, which street lights go off soon after they are commissioned for lack of payment of bills and maintenance, which they presume is the mandate of the counties, Honorable Speaker. So my view, this set of affairs is not tenable. We must make a decision, and I'll be coming back to Parliament. Okay? We must make a decision as to whether to empower REREC fully, to be able to be in charge of this street lighting, up to including payment of bills. But more importantly, if we can now move away from the grid, national grid, and establish solar street lights, okay, which will be easy to manage in the long term. That's a discussion we must have urgently, because these are important facilities. Honorable Speaker, on the matter of public confidence, as raised by Honorable Mbui, you know, Honorable Speaker, I am very clear in my mind, extremely clear, because I've been on this space for quite some time. The Gen Zs of the youth who are not raising any different issues from the issues you and I, Honorable Mbui, have raised over the years. They could have had a different style, okay? But the issues they were raising were pertinent issues, which you all agree must be dealt with, okay? And therefore, it is not proper to say that we have taken advantage of the Gen Z's clamor to get into government. First and foremost, Honorable Speaker, I never applied to join the executive, but I was pleasantly surprised and felt greatly honored that my name was recommended. And His Excellency the President went ahead to nominate me.
You know the facts. Just answer the questions.
So, Honorable Speaker, I still maintain the view that we are not in any way in betrayal of the cause.
Don't allow Mbui to bully you.
Of the youth, yes.
And have no apologies.
Yes.
Yes.
But again, Honorable Speaker, as I conclude on that one, you know, we are basically coming on board in a paradigm shift. I'm very pleased that the President has actually declared that we have to adopt a paradigm shift in the management of government and state affairs. And I'm most privileged if I'm approved.
In our country.
In our country.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. We are living in different times. Yes, so we must also think differently. Sorry. Honorable Speaker, Honorable Baya, you are right. The cost of power is exorbitant in Kenya. Even if you compare ourselves to our neighboring countries, especially Ethiopia and even Uganda, really. But part of the reason why our cost of power is too high, is the exorbitant amount of commercial and technical losses that Kenya Power, especially in cars. Kenya Power loses up to 23% of the power it buys from the generators. Okay? In other words, it doesn't sell. Almost 23% of the power it buys from the generators.
Inefficiency and recklessness.
Yes, there are many factors.
You must assure the country that this will stop.
This is going to be managed. I can't say it will stop, Honorable Speaker, because in any scientific process, there can be losses. But they have to be reasonable losses, Honorable Speaker. Yes. So we are going to work closely with the KPLC, and I'm happy, Honorable Speaker, by the work the KPLC management is doing currently. As a matter of fact, I'm privy to the information that they have done some turnaround. I'm not allowed by the rules of the CMA to get into details. But they have done some turnaround, and they may post some good figures in the coming...
Don't be prejudiced by briefs you have received. You'll get there and learn.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I'm just being optimistic. Yes. And giving the country hope. To borrow your words.
Yes. Okay. Continue.
Honorable Speaker, let me dash to the question, by Honorable Dawood. Murugara.
Murugara first.
Murugara, yes. Honorable Speaker, it is true, there have been historical injustices. Okay? And we must work together in terms of addressing these injustices or these imbalances. We must correct them. That's systematically. But I must also throw a challenge to my colleagues in the National Assembly, because I'm aware that this lopsided allocation of resources, especially on energy and electricity, is also coming from us in Parliament at the budget time. The agencies, the ministries, are receiving printed estimates with figures which they cannot change, they can't touch, which figures are scary, Honorable Speaker. You find one constituency being allocated upwards of 400 million Kenya shillings, while another one is getting a paltry 10 million Kenya shillings in the same financial year. So we must also actually do some introspection as a House to help us in the ministry, if and when I am approved, to deal with this issue. You know, once you bring printed estimates, the ministry, the agencies have got no leg room. They have no room to maneuver. Okay? So these imbalances, these injustices may continue as we watch, Honorable Speaker. There is also the issue of solars for schools. There is currently a very robust project being undertaken by REREC, the solar for schools. We want to follow through this project to ensure that at least every school in this country is able to benefit.
Point of order. No. Point of order.
George?
Point of order. Solar has been tried from time immemorial. It works only for 1 month, 2 months, it just dies. And those schools will remain in the books of KBLC or whoever that they are connected through solar when actually it is not working. So it doesn't make sense whatsoever for Kenya Power or for RELEC to introduce or to go back to that solar business. Let us get connection to the national grid so that we also assured of constant electricity supply.
Point of order, Chairman, on the same.
Yes.
And you know, this was done mostly from the regions I come from. It is so that if you do electricity,